everybody, it's Tim from Phantom History House. I'm here with John Demas, very well-known classical guitarist. John, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So we were very fortunate to hire you to be performing at our masquerade party at the Phantom History House. We're having a couple of big Halloween parties because Halloween is sort of our theme here. And from the very beginning, when we had this idea for sort of a high-end masquerade party, everybody dress up, wear your mask. I had this idea from the very beginning that I wanted to have live music, a live musician. Didn't know we'd get anybody of your caliber, so excited that you're going to help us out. Thank you for being a part of that event.
Glad to be a part of it. It sounds like a great idea. I think I was even going to dress up too. What do you think?
I think it's fantastic. You can wear anything you want to. It's the idea is be as beautiful and fabulous and swanky as you want to be. Wear a mask if you want to. That's completely up to you, but we're very excited that you're going to be here. So I think most people know who you are, John. Actually, I mean, obviously I've heard of you and know of your career, but why don't you just sort of introduce yourself briefly for anybody who may not know who you are?
Well, basically, I teach at the University of Tampa and Hillsborough Community College. I head the classical and jazz guitar department. I specialize in classical and Middle Eastern music. And I also, outside of playing the classical music, I play a Greek instrument called a bouzouki. So I do a lot of Greek festivals. I do a lot of Greek weddings, theme parties. I'm like the Mel Bay of the Greek bouzouki. I've written like, I don't know, a total of, 10 or 11 books. So, I'm pretty entrepreneurial in the things that I do. I primarily play beach weddings and, grandma turned 90 and like any kind of family event. And most of my clients too become like lifelong friends. And for some people, I even have done 3 or 4, events. I had one lady that hired me one time. I played all 4 of her granddaughter's weddings, and she hired me for any time somebody in the family gets married, and then you're like part of the family.
No, that's very, very interesting. So when did you begin playing guitar?
I was self-taught until I was in my 20s. I wanted to play the violin when I was in middle school, but I was told I had no aptitude to play a musical instrument. So I guess you could guess what I think a standardized aptitude test. So my parents kind of felt bad for me. My father was disabled and my mother had to go back to work. And my father said, nobody wants to listen to the drums, so you can't play the drums, and we can't afford a piano. So I picked a guitar as the instrument that I want to play. And they bought me a guitar for $29. And I was basically self-taught until I was in my 20s. I worked for Westinghouse coming out of high school. I made circuit breakers in Beaver, Pennsylvania. And I saw these guys coming in every day, and then they left every day and they punched in. I thought, man, I can't do this for like 40 years, So I ended up going to Miami. I don't know, to me, I was in Western Pennsylvania where it snows like 9 months out of the year. So I figured I'd go somewhere where it was warm. So I got down here and I did okay for a while. And then like early 80s disco hit. And then I was like really, because I was playing like Led Zeppelin and Ted Nugent and Bad Company and, classic rock. And what had happened was disco had hit. And all of a sudden, like there wasn't a need for rock bands. So I started playing acoustic stuff, James Taylor, America, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and that sort of stuff. And one day a friend of mine said, hey, I'm going to University of Miami to see this guy play classical guitar. And I'm like, what's that? He said, it's like acoustic guitar, but why don't you come? So I went, and the first time I saw somebody play classical guitar, I was like, I'm going to learn how to do that. So it took me 3 years to undo everything I did incorrectly on my own. And I didn't really go to school to get a degree. I went to school to learn, which is so rare today because kids come to school, they're there to earn their piece of paper so that they can get their job. And it's funny, like under Florida, when I graduated, you need 120 credits for a bachelor's degree. I had 209. Because I took courses that I wanted to learn. I was there to learn. So I kind of fell into the whole classical guitar thing. And with my Greek heritage, after I became more educated and learned to read music and understood theory and all that sort of things that I learned in school, I saw a couple Greek bands at a Greek festival. And the ones that I saw were really bad. They weren't even in tune. So I had my parents send my bouzouki down, and I was motivated by money to get better. So here's the thing: in any type of venture that you do, even like with you, you have to find your niche. And you have to have a niche that you have a market of people that you could find, and then you need to package that and market yourself. And that's basically what I've done. Was I found my niche, and I packaged myself, and I marketed myself, and I've done very well. I've been in Tampa since 1984, and I haven't had a job since 1979. I'm very fortunate to be playing music to earn a living.
You mentioned that you went to school to learn, and you were starting that sort of learning the music theory and the correct way to play the guitar for classical music. So do you feel like that is giving you an advantage in some way because you did that late and you maybe appreciated the information differently?
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, the Suzuki method's based off of that same principle, to where you learn to play before you actually learn to read. And the reality is, with a musical instrument, you only play as well as you hear. So in the beginning, if you're not learning how to read and how to make sense of all these other things, you're learning to reproduce sounds that you hear. And even if you didn't do it exactly the way that it was written, it forced you to become creative enough to find a way that it still fit, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So when you talk about the books you've written, are these books of original music? Is it how to play these instruments with exercises? Like, what kind of publications are these?
I have John Demas Guitar Technique and Theory Workbook. That's based off of all guitar, and it puts the theory onto the instrument. Most theories based off of the piano. And of course, everybody, I know my piano friends will love this, but everybody who plays the piano thinks everybody should play the piano. So, but it puts the visual aspect onto the guitar. And then I've written other like class methods that I've used. And then the bouzouki has a bouzouki is a long neck lute. Anything with a round back is the lute. And the longer the neck, the older the instrument. So like a mandolin's a newer instrument because the neck's shorter, where a sitar is an older instrument because the neck is longer. So my first books were I did John Demas bouzouki method for they call it 4-string, but it's really double strings. It's 4-course or 8-string, and then there's another one that's 3-course or 6-string. And those methods, and then after that I wrote other books, but all those are traditional Greek folk songs that nobody else ever wrote down. In other words, most folk musicians don't read, so I wrote out traditional Greek dance songs so that people that want to learn to play the instrument can learn songs. They aren't my songs; they're traditional Greek folk songs.
Yeah, you're like modern day Bartok for sure.
Pretty much.
Very cool. So why have the necks of the instruments gotten shorter over time?
Well, they didn't realize that that a thicker string produced a lower tone. So the reason the neck was longer was to be able to play the longer string made a lower pitch. Like a theobro is the oldest and longest long neck lute. That neck on that instrument's 8 feet long. You have to lay it down to tune it. That's how long it is. So, and then as the instruments became more modern, then they realized that a thicker string produced a lower sound. That's why they made the neck shorter.
So it could be more compact and easier to travel, I suppose.
Yeah, and they could smash more of you inside the corner to go play the gig too.
So we are excited to have you at our event. Of course, we're sort of a Halloween party, a masquerade party. We are paranormally themed here, so it's sort of Halloween all the time. Although we do consider ourselves a very high-end, sort of destination. The rooms aren't super cheap because we want a certain clientele here, and we want to have a certain experience for the people that are here. So I'm very happy that you will be here. I wondered, have you ever played anywhere like this before, sort of like a Halloween-themed kind of thing?
No.
Awesome. I love that. I can't believe we're giving you a gig that you've never had.
and I've done some pretty wild things, but this will be my first Halloween experience.
Well, that's clearly my next question then is, can you share some stories of some of the very most interesting or unique events you have played?
Wow. You know, I mean, I've played on a bus on my way to a wedding to Central Florida at Bach Tower, where I entertained the people all the way on the bus. Then we went up in the tower for the wedding, and then we came down for the tower, and then we drove all the way back, and then I played the reception in Tampa. Believe it or not, I played for a funeral. I played 2 hours next to the casket. I actually played gravesite for an hour, and then I went home and played for the family for like another 4 hours. I literally spent the whole day with that family.
Wow.
I've done jobs where I worked for the American Heart Association, where they would fly me and 2 other guys to Cat Cay Island in the Bahamas for a week. And they would bring all these yachters in, and they would get stuff donated to the American Heart Association, like Rolex watches. And these people would bid on things, and the Heart Association got all their money. I've done pretty interesting things. Most things are family oriented. Like I said, I do a lot of weddings. I mean, theme parties and that kind of stuff. People hire me to like go to retirement communities or assisted living, and they get these older people to come out. If they do like a Greek theme, half of them are like wearing togas. They give them like a shot of ouzo, you know, light some cheese on fire, break some dishes. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about. And that's the fun thing is like, no matter what happens to what I do, I'm always with people on the happiest day of their life sometime. Even if their marriage didn't work or whatever it is, it's like people are going to come to your event and they're going to take pictures and they're going to remember that like forever because they've never done it before and they may never do it again, you know? So, you know, that's what's really cool. I mean, basically we're creating memories for people. That's what we do.
Yeah, what a great career to like be there and enhance people's celebrations. Like that's pretty cool,
Right.
John.
It's way cool.
Wow, I love that. Okay, so what kind of music can we expect? I mean, I'm sort of said classical guitar. We're trying to create an atmosphere. It doesn't have to be creepy, although some of it could be. But have you thought at all about what we might expect to hear when you're playing at the party?
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that I play is a standard classical literature. So we'll start off with Renaissance music, and we'll go through the Baroque period. We'll go into the classical period. We'll go into modern. You know, I'm pretty eclectic on things that I play. I tend to like more earlier music. You know, not that I don't play modern, because I do. And when I say modern, you know, I'm considering 20th century, which now is the 21st century. I like tonal music. You know, some things, especially when you get into academia, it's not necessarily that it's entertaining. It's like how difficult or how rhythmic or how dissonant. But I still like to feel like a tonality and create a mood. And basically what happens is I can't really make a set list and show up. I have to show up and then kind of read the room on what I'm going to play. I mean, and that depends on the age group and my surroundings. I mean, there's so many factors. And I have, you know, I'm old school. I put my music in my iPad, but I still have a bunch of books that I carry with me. And I kind of think of certain things and I kind of flip through the book and whatever I think will fit the mood is what I'll basically play.
Well, that's amazing. And the advantage there is you've been doing this so long at such a high level, you have this whole repertoire to pull from. Like I'm sure you could play for hours and hours if you needed to.
Totally. No problem.
Very, very interesting. Do you have any questions for me about our event or about where you're coming, just in case you're curious?
No, I mean, I think it'll be, you know, as long as I'm strategically placed, maybe as people are coming in or in a room where I'm kind of like off to the side, you know, away from a door where people are coming in and out or next to a bar or something like that. But I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun event. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to dress as of yet. I make a mean Johnny Depp, but I don't know. I have a cape I bought last year. I never wore it, so I know I'm going to have some sort of a cape, but I'm not really sure what else I'm going to have from that point. But I thought it would be kind of, interesting to be able to do that. And I was thinking of some scary music, but I haven't really, researched on what I would actually play as of yet, because I know there's like Halloween, like WUSF always has like Halloween stuff, but there's only going to be certain things that I would be able to do solo guitar wise. But I think it's more of the just creating a mood for the moment, and that's what it basically. And I'm background, and it's more for me to create a mood for everything else. It's one other sense other than the visual aspect of it. Because if you watch a movie, even a scary movie, and you turn the sound off, it's not scary. So, so I'm there to create a mood, and I will. You'll see.
Well, I'm absolutely sure you will, and I have every confidence that will be exactly what we need. And really, we're going for, like I said, sort of a very high-end event, wine and fabulous dresses, and we're all in a mask. And it's not necessarily the creepy part as much as the fabulous part that we're interested in. And I think you're going to be a great, great addition. Thank you for taking time to talk to me today, and we're excited to have you at our masquerade party at Phantom History House on October 14th. And anybody that watches this video of our conversation, we hope you'll go to our website at phantomhistoryhouse.com, consider getting a ticket and joining John and hearing him play that night at our party. So, John, thank you for taking time to do this.
No problem. I look forward to meeting you. I hope to see everybody that watches this video come dressed to kill.
Exactly. Dressed to impress for sure.
Add some class to your Halloween season with our Masquerade Ball. Find your mask and dress to impress at our high-end event of the season. Live music will be provided by renowned classical guitarist John Demas. Book your own sleeping chamber and retire upstairs after the festivities. Join Phantom History House, a bed and breakfast experience, this fall for an unparalleled getaway this Halloween season.